Karnataka election counting trends indicate that the early expectations are being realized. People are obviously vexed with a fairly corrupt government in Karnataka until now. Generally, all governments in Karnataka have been corrupt, but people remember the immediate corruption. The last 4 or 5 years, the BJP government has not distinguished itself in Karnataka in terms of delivery of services and in terms of integrity. Phenomenal corruption was the hallmark, and there was wide expectation that the government will be punished, and that seems to be happening. What's good about our democracy is, however flawed it is real democracy. People vote and vote freely. Yes, there are a lot of distortions, a lot of inducements. Vast amount of money flows into the hands of the people to induce them to vote. But that does not mean that the people do not vote voluntarily and freely unto the person or the party that they wish at that point of time. Once again, in Karnataka, we see that. And the second thing is, there's a real change of power. That means those in power are always accountable. And Karnataka again holds a mirror to that. And what's important is, the Prime Minister must realize that there has to be leadership in all states, that our party should be federalized, that there cannot be one person contesting from panchayats to parliament election. Each tier of government has its own role, and they must perform their role well. In Karnataka, BJP has very little credible leadership left after Jayaprakash departure. Whereas Congress, with all its imperfections, has reasonably credible leadership in the form of Siddaramaiah, a veteran politician with a long record of public service, and D.K. Shivakumar, a strong man with tremendous organizational base. It matters. But what is disconcerting about this whole thing is, about 75 to 80% of the MLAs who are now going to be elected, they were entirely interchangeable. They could have contested on behalf of Congress or BJP depending on the circumstances. There is no great principle or ideology here. It's only the question of who is in power. It's about political fiefdoms. And perhaps the election expenditure per candidate for the major parties should have been an all-time record in the country. On an average, probably 30 to 40 crores were spent in this election by each of these candidates. Karnataka is not exceptional in that. Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Tamil Nadu are in the same group. Many other states are following suit. So Karnataka election once again demonstrates the power of money in elections. It doesn't matter which party, which candidate you are. It also shows that the political parties have not yet matured enough to recognize the real crisis of our democracy. They are not willing to look at the electoral system and the fundamentals of the nature of our political competition. I think if the right lessons are learned, it will be useful. But one good thing is, Congress seems to be getting or heading towards a clear majority so that there is no uncertainty, there is no ayaram, gayaram politics, etc. It's always good. Another good thing is, it's important for a country to have a robust democracy with a strong opposition, with real political competition. For several years now, in many states, the non-BJP parties were in disarray. At the national level, they're particularly in a sad state. It's not good for the country. We need strong opposition parties. We need strong political competition. And to the extent that the Karnataka elections strengthen the opposition, non-BJP parties in the country, it's good for democracy. But there are also some other lessons. Congress must behave like a major national party with a stake in the country's future, economic future, political future, institutional future. Unfortunately, Congress lost hope for some time and has been acting as a very timid regional party without giving a direction to the country. For instance, they have been embracing the old pension scheme against all canons of financial propriety and good sense because they were scared. Even in Karnataka, they said they will consider it. Let's hope that the Congress leadership with enormous experience, wealth of experience for 75 years of governing this country, and for about 78 years before that of leading the country in the freedom struggle. Let's hope the Congress will not lose its sense of the future. We'll revisit the drawing board. We'll figure out what's important for India's economic future and political future. If you allow India's economic future to be mortgaged at the altar of individual politicians' ambitions or a party's ambitions, that will be disaster for the country. We require a wholesome economic vision which takes care of the poor, which addresses the needs of vertical mobility for everybody so that every child has an opportunity to grow in this country, irrespective of circumstances of birth, and can earn decent livelihood. And above all, of rapid economic growth in a desperately poor country. That means public finances must be in a good shape, they must be healthy, there must be a balance between short-term individual welfare measures and the long-term growth prospects. The salaries, pensions, and interest burden must be kept within reasonable limits so that they will not take away all the resources of the country and all the tax money of the country. We must build better infrastructure, encourage investment, promote economic growth, create employment, and enhance incomes. That's the only source of prosperity. That's the only passport to a better future. That's the only way we can come out of poverty. Let's hope that a major national party, which played such a stellar role in the past 150 years in India's history, will rediscover itself and protect the future of this country. I congratulate whoever is elected, but a lot remains to be done because our elections are simply getting worse in terms of expenditure, in terms of short-term, individual-centric welfare measures at the cost of the long-term good, and pampering certain privileged sections at the cost of the economic growth of the country. These tendencies are very pronounced in many states, including Karnataka. And we must wake up now, both as political parties and as people. And media have a very important role to play in generating a debate about what really matters. It doesn't matter who wins or who loses. It matters what they do. It matters what happens to us and our children in the future. It's not merely a game of who is in power. It's about deciding what will happen to the next generation. That's what true power is about. Let's hope that we'll all wake up to that and protect the future of our country.